all the turbulence, we do have a special election this November.
The Dan Yorke State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Takeo Comfort Solutions.
Yeah, I mean, what a week, right? Obviously, we're going to have to garner all of the Middle East expertise that we can over the course of the, I don't know, the next handful of programs. But last week, we had Gabe Amo here, the Democratic nominee for Congress. He won the special election primary in September, and his opponent, Gerry Leonard, it's his turn. He is the nominee on the Republican side, and we congratulate him on that victory. Here's some of his commentary on 12 News this season.
I did get in this to win this race. I absolutely got into it to win the race. I'd like to call, you know, a New England Yankee Republican. You need to be an independent thinker. You got to stand up for the people that sent you there. It's a privilege to be sent to Washington, D.C., and we ought not ever forget that.
So welcome. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Dan, thank you. Thanks for having me.
A career of what, 30-some-odd years in the Marines?
30 years, yes, sir. Started in 1989 and retired in 2019, and got to be around a lot of good people for 30 years. I do miss it. I miss the people that I served with. Some of the finest human beings I've ever been around.
Summarize your track.
1989, I was a retired colonel in East Greenwich, taught in East Greenwich High School, and he convinced me to join the United States Marine Corps. And he told me a pretty passionate story about his time in Vietnam. And I was working in a bank down in New York City, wasn't particularly enthused about it, and his passion for what he told me was sold me. And I went down and joined, became an infantry officer, served in Desert Storm, served in Somalia. And then 10 years later, when the Iraq War started, I served over there, and I served in Afghanistan. Trained and led Marines all that time. Staff officer for General Petraeus. That was his plans chief in Afghanistan, which was a wonderful experience. My last assignment in the Marine Corps, I was chief of staff of a 100,000 person organization spread across the United States. And in layman's terms or civilian terms, a chief of staff of an organization like that would be equivalent to a chief operating officer. In that capacity, I got to see a lot of different things. One of the things I do point out to voters is when the hurricanes hit the Gulf Coast, I was responsible from a strategic perspective of making sure we had Marines down with local officials, and particularly in the city of Houston that was flooded for a week or so to help the rescue efforts. So it was great experience. I planned on doing 3 years when I joined the Marine Corps. Fell in love with it, and the sense of service, the sense of helping, quite frankly, other people, and those would be the Marines that I had the privilege to serve with, was rewarding, quite frankly, changed my life.
Perspective on what we're dealing with now?
We're talking about the things in the Middle East. I think the attacks that took place were atrocious. It was unprovoked, despite what anybody may say. These were innocent civilians. I'd put this akin to our 9/11, and let's not forget, Israel stood by our side, and 9/11, it's time that we as a country stand beside them. I absolutely believe they have every right to defend themselves, to include, based on the nature and the scale of this attack. I think they probably I'd support efforts to take down Hamas.
Okay, we'll talk more about the conflict a little later in the program. So, you present a conundrum. We haven't met. This is our first time meeting. So, obviously, you present impressively as somebody who respects the military. As much as I do, having not served, I always feel somewhat inferior to those who have for reasons of what you've sacrificed, the risks that you've taken, standing on the wall, so to speak. So all through this campaign, I've used the term military secret in a sense. from a political analysis point of view,
Okay.
you're a complete unknown to, other than to your friends, family.
My parents love me to death.
Friends, family, your contingent here behind the scenes. You've charmed and grabbed the attention of the Republican Party leadership, which is an embarrassing lot when it comes to competence in this state. That's not your fault. You got to run somewhere. You got to pick a lane, right? You got to pick a party. You got to figure it out. As I've read, you were a Democrat at one point, and you jumped ship.
Yes, sir.
But it's like I don't know how to respect the candidacy. I certainly respect the man, and certainly respect the service. I don't know how to from my little world where I take a look at politics and like I have said, and I would hold true to the notion that your chances of winning this race are slim and none. And when I see that you're talking about being in it to win it, it's a phrase that I've heard from experienced and novice candidates hundreds of times in my not so illustrious career, right? So what am I supposed to do with you in terms of this race and this analysis? You've done nothing of the kind of stuff that a serious one or two party candidate does. Press conference here, press conference there, a modest amount of money raised, no name recognition. Yet I already feel a sense of magnanimity over the table. Help me with this.
Dan, I am a first-time politician. I recognize that I started with.
Well, good for you for not saying you're. First of all, one check mark. Thank you. You didn't say I'm not a politician. You said I'm a first-time politician. Good for you, because most clowns can come in here who've never run and tell me, now that they're running, that they're not politicians. And I have to spend 5 minutes explaining, once you decide to run, you're a politician. So good for you.
Well, that's good. I won't have to put on my red nose yet.
You're off and running. You're making a comeback already.
No, so I would.
Are you hearing me?
No, yeah, Dan, absolutely. It's valid conversation, and I appreciate it. I again, as a newcomer, I recognize what I was getting into. I've also studied the history of special elections in the state of Rhode Island, been 2 of them. There's some strategy behind what I'm doing, what I did during the primary, and what I'm trying to do now. And I understand the ramp it's a short ramp. I would also say that my opponents, including every one of them, outside of the lieutenant governor, did not have, and I don't know if she had great name recognition either. So it is about getting out, meeting voters. We are working our tail off every single day. It's been a slog.
You're right about that. You're right about that. Lieutenant Governor Sabina Matos, who couldn't walk and chew gum at the same time in that primary race to save her life, right? Got herself in all sorts of jams. Was probably the highest Q-rated candidate running in that race. True, Gabe Amo, unknown. Difference is he raised $750,000, put up a splashy campaign, local boy done good, working in the Raimondo and Biden administrations, creates an image that is fertile inside a very blue district. So that's why pundits like me, I have to throw myself into the mess, right? Are suggesting that the shot is a difficult one. So tell me what you know about a special election that I don't know.
Well, I think
which might be something I don't know.
Well, and I think you probably know the voter turnout. We by all
low.
It's going to be low. It's going to be low.
Might be lower than the primary.
It may be. We'll see how that falls out. But yeah, I think
that might not be the worst thing in the world for you. I think the Democrats think it's done.
Well, I think they've been cut. I think my opponent was measuring the curtains down in Washington D.C. on the night of the primary. I think there's been a coronation of sorts, and I absolutely love this state, much like you do, and we absolutely, and I feel it when I talk to voters, I believe we need a change in the state of Rhode Island. When you look at all the different quality of life factors, infrastructure, schools, business climate, we're at the bottom of the barrel as a state. And I absolutely believe there are smart voters out there as well that recognize that a balanced delegation down in Washington, D.C. might benefit the state of Rhode Island. So I certainly...
in terms of what? More dough? You can't squeeze any more dough out of Washington than Jack Reed and Sheldon Whitehouse, and then Cicilline and Langevin did.
Well, the House is controlled by the Republicans right now. Yes, it's a narrow.
True.
It's narrow. But you get me down to Washington D.C., I sit at the big table, and not the little table, so to speak. So I think there's
big table's a mess.
I think
you don't have a House Speaker. Did you check the news cycle?
Damn, but
who's your guy?
That took two parties.
Who's your guy?
Vote. If I could?
Sure.
4 days before that vote was taken, and this is chaos, and it's disappointing to me what these 8 individuals on the Republican side did, but every single Democrat voted for this too. So what's the purpose of that? Why did they do that? After 4 days before they voted with them to keep our government funded. So I think that's a question that folks in your world need to be asking.
Well,
I think you know the answer.
I got a lot of answers, but I'm not here to debate you. I'm here to interview, and there's a difference. And I cross that line all too often anyway. So why don't we do this? What I've had to say, come on the radio. We'll talk about it at greater length when we have some more time. When we come back, we'll talk about his opponent. We'll talk about some of the issues that are present here. They may just be, I don't know, an upset winning opportunity for this candidate, Steve.
I've been running a vigorous and very visible campaign since April 18th. I've been out there. I've talked to people in so many settings.
Now you got a new race. It's a general election.
Well, it's a continuation of the same race. So people know where I stand.
No, they don't. I don't know if you saw that interview from last weekend, or any of your guys did, but that was a futile conversation with Gabe Amo trying to make some legitimacy out of this notion that he was doing enough debates with you. I think you cajoled him into the Channel 12 debate. You're probably Channel 10 reportedly, finally got its act together and figured out a debate on November 2nd, I think, at Rhode Island College.
Yes, right.
Newsmakers, Tim and Ted, will provide some fertile ground for you, but it's not going to be prime time. This is kind of the media attitude, by the way, about the special election, right? That it's kind of an anticlimactic kind of post-game show, as opposed to, and I understand that. I have fed that beast myself in terms of the primary on the Democratic side being the thing. But what infuriates me about Gabe Amo is that new kid in town, done good, wins the primary, and then pulls it all back because some consultant says, just ride this thing out and keep your nose clean, and don't deal with this Republican candidate. So, dude, I'm with you. Sir, I'm with you. I mean, I get it. I get it. Speak your mind on that issue.
I think it's absolutely unfortunate to the voters and if you're not voting, my fellow Rhode Islanders.
It's about winning for them. I mean, listen, you're a born competitor. You're a Marine. You get competition. This is about guys saying, this is how you win. It's less about doing the right thing for the constituents, and this notion that the people know it's a 40,000 turnout in a 500,000 person district that may not be replicated here. People barely know him from his commercial. They hardly know what his issues are. So, I mean, I think your little bit of your press was legitimate. I would have made it a full court press. I would have stood on my head screaming bloody murder about this. But I'm not running your campaign.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. So we were engaged by 8 different outlets, accepted every single one of them. Some of those outlets wouldn't have been friendly environments.
Right. You asked for 12 debates, which was a little, it's like the old kung fu thing. You ask for 12, you get 8, you're good. Right. You ask for 12, you get 6, you're good. You ask for 12, you got 2, that's not good.
No, it's not
but
good.
there's nothing you can do about it, unless you just stand on your head and make this thing the issue for the next couple of weeks.
I'm going to stand on my head again on this. So we we were engaged by another outlet to come on their program. We've accepted that one too. So we're gonna keep pressing outlets. I'd love to sit right here with you and have a debate with them. I think the voters out there really need to find out what in fact did he do in the White House, what in fact did he do in the State House with the Raimondo administration. I've told you what I've done, and I go in great detail. I think I am from a leadership perspective, from a problem-solving perspective, from a backbone perspective, quite frankly, from an empathetic perspective.
Have you investigated what he's done? I mean, do you have a point of view about what he's done? I mean, listen, he's got a nice resume. He's done, again, he's a nice young man.
He's very affable.
And so he's got no known skeletons, and he did some good constituent work and rose to, you know, a position of top 100 in the White House, where he would make sure the governors and mayors were updated and kind of a concierge of sorts of that kind of work between the Oval Office and state capitals is my best understanding. You have a qualm with that?
Well, I don't exactly understand. I've seen a lot of staffers during my time in the Marine Corps, different level staffers. Sometimes it's difficult to pin down what they do. But I think that's better. That question is better addressed to him. But I've seen staffers. That being said, so the other thing I'm disappointed about as a veteran, I've got active duty military friends from Rhode Island that are going to be sending in absentee ballots. Those absentee ballots will be in the mail before our debates take place. I think it's incredibly unfair to them.
Well, that's dual responsibility. That's not just Gay Bomo, that's the media outlets.
And so last week I was on one of the programs, Newsmakers, and I suggested that they take the scheduled debate they have and move it up in the cycle. Let's get it out somewhere around the 18th. That's when the early voting takes place, and I think it would be beneficial to the people of Rhode Island.
Well, that
and
show's
that's all
producing
that really
this building,
matters.
of course. You know, Tim and Ted have a legacy position there with that show, and they'll make that determination. But I do believe that there needed to be more. Anyway, if you did have a debate, and if Gay Bomo was sitting here, what would be the number one thing?
I think we need to talk about the economy. Bidenomics, the so-called Bidenomics, is not working for working families. And every time I've been out meeting with voters, I am hearing about high prices at the grocery store, high prices at the fuel pump, high prices with prescription drugs. Housing in the state of Rhode Island is absolutely unaffordable. If a police officer and a teacher decide they're going to get married, they're not living in Rhode Island. They may work here.
Look, I understand the workforce housing issue as well as anybody been on it for a long time, but this notion of Bidenomics cracks me up a little bit. There's this thing called COVID.
Sure is.
Yeah, and we had to paper up this economy to keep it alive, and now we're suffering the repercussions of that. That was something that is a joint responsibility of both the Trump and Biden administrations. So what would you have done?
Well,
Congressman to be, what would you have done? Pulled the plug, let businesses go south, not lend money?
No.
What would you have done?
There were certain steps that I absolutely agree with. I think that there was some legislation that was passed that go back to the Ron Makeley days, less pork. There was pork attached. It's the infrastructure bill, while a great bill, and we need infrastructure investment in this country. We know we need it in Rhode Island, but do you need all the extra pork? I absolutely believe that we put too much money into the economy and we can't absorb it quick enough, and that's why we see the interest rates going up.
Without a doubt, your analysis is spot on. The idea that from a congressional point of view, the notion that the pork would have been, listen, there was a triage. It was a triage economic plan. I just find it to be a little bit of folly when both sides, and I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, I'm one of these guys that tries to zero base this stuff. I just think that, COVID put us in a real hole, and the Fed's trying to finesse this whole thing, and I don't know.
And I think people were trying to do the right thing, and I think yes.
So economy going forward, how do you fix it?
Well, so this nonsense that's been going on this year with our budget, the debt ceiling crisis. We decided we were going to turn political back in June. What's happening with our budget here in this standoff? Since 2010, this has been going on, and both parties have been doing it. You need to get your budget done. You need to go through the right process of doing that. These middle of the night continuing resolutions, and both parties are guilty of it. Middle of the night continuing resolution, massive omnibus
So
bills.
how's a freshman elected congressman, Democrat or Republican, change that culture? 10 seconds, then I got another segment real quick.
Dan, I've been fighting my whole life. I'm going to fight to do the right thing, and that's what's right for this country. And that's what needs to be fixed in Washington, D.C. This isn't about political parties. This is about the people that live in the state of Rhode Island and across this country. And I am terribly concerned about what we're leaving behind for our grandkids and great-grandkids. That's why I'm running for office.
All right, final thoughts when we come back to this. Time flies when you're having fun. You're more engaging in person than I guessed. How are you going to engage this electorate? And you never really answered the question. You know, what do you know about the special election that I don't? That's going to deliver the kind of votes that you need to get this thing over the top.
Our modeling, and when I started jumping into this by myself, looking into this months ago, is a low voter turnout. I've got to energize the Republican base, and I understand it's
Fat
small.
chance. Fat chance. Listen.
So on the
You didn't go 30 years of success in the Marines without some straight talk. Fat chance.
I am this election to me and for the state of Rhode Island is that important. So we can say it's a fat chance, but it's
How about
it's that important.
How about big hill to climb?
And I've been running. It's better to fight uphill than downhill, and I am going to keep running and fighting uphill. I understand what the political landscape in the state of Rhode Island. I'm not a fool. I understand it. I got to energize the base, and I absolutely believe that I am a change agent, and I think I'm going to appeal to the independents, which are 47% of this district.
Wish you the best of luck.
Dan, I appreciate it.
Again,
thank you for your time.
Again, thank you for your service. Final word and we can back. Stay with us. So I dare you, Republicans, prove me wrong. Special election, by the way, independents too, November 7th. See you.